One of the biggest complaints of Dragon Ball Super is a seeming lack of a time skip. Trunks and Goten, for instance, are technically around 14 and 13 years old, but still pretty much appear as when they were first introduced to the series. What if, instead of moving forward with the Granola arc, Dragon Ball decided to launch itself forward in time? It's a beautiful afternoon in West City. People go about their lives, spending the day with family and friends, without a care in the world. Several years have passed since the Galactic Patrol's telling battle with the sinister magician Moro. Even though victorious, Earth's mightiest warriors, Goku and Vegeta, were left forever changed by the Fiend. Goku, after training Oob, once again returns to continue his own training with Vegeta. Though the Saiyan duo may have aged, and Earth has been at peace for years, they have shown no signs of giving up their common goal, to be the best fighter in the multiverse. At Capsule Corp, Bulma greets a group of visitors. She explains how her husband and Goku are training away in the new chamber she built, revealing Krillin, Chi-Chi, and Goten. She goes on to tell they've been loving it so far. While the machine itself is interesting enough, if we look close, everyone nearby can actually spectate the battle. Chi-Chi is just happy those idiots can actually get the adequate training they need without blowing up the planet. And after Zeno's tournament, and what they told everyone about that Moro freak they had to face, Bulma figured it was important to create a space that could truly withstand unthinkable power. But Krillin doesn't know if he can fully trust it. This is Goku and Vegeta they're talking about. And that's why the scientists got help from Whis. Because of him, she was able to gather the strongest materials in the universe to create it. With that and her natural genius, she thinks it'll be smooth sailing, all for the cost of a buttercream cake. With the chamber shaking as much as Bulma's confidence, Goku goes to chase down his rival, who taunts if he's growing slower in his old age. Getting the drop on Goku by using the instant transmission. The very same shouts, "Ow, Vegeta, that hurt!" Though he only rolls his eyes to proclaim it's over. He won this round. His adversary shouts, "That's not fair! He forgot he could use that technique and wants a rematch." The prince argues it's not his fault he let his guard down. Finally admitting defeat, our hero wants to go again nonetheless, which is fine with Vegeta. Unfortunately, they're interrupted by Bulma. With a worried expression, she tells them that's enough. The chamber takes up too much power to be playing in it all day, ushering them to hit the showers. Sporting a stupid grin, Goku quips, "Hey Vegeta, did you hear that? She said you stink!" As the machine appears to decompress, it eventually opens. Trunks tells his dad that was incredible, while Goten questions his own father if he let him win on purpose, causing a sharp glare from the prince. Stuttering, he assures no offense to Mr. Vegeta, sir. But Trunks carries his father's pride and temper, inquiring what Goten is trying to say. Getting closer to Goku, he quietly asks, "You let him hit you, didn't ya?" And the subject's expression doesn't do much to deny this, but remains silent outside a cheeky laugh. Trunks shouts, "Are you trying to say your father is stronger than mine? Are you stupid?" And of course he is. He always has been. He even lasted longer in the Tournament of Power. But Trunks' dad beat Moro into the ground while Goku is already laid out on it. Even said dads are a bit taken aback by their children's passion, while the moms have juxtaposed views themselves. The fury of the boys not settling, Goku decides to mediate to get him to settle down. He and Vegeta keep pushing each other. Their rivalry is what made them who they are. With that, Vegeta spouts off he's had enough of this and it's giving him a headache, instructing his son to follow. His opposite takes the opportunity to do the same. As the Sun family makes their way down the stairs, Goten apologizes. But not even getting to explain. His father tells him not to worry about it. Vegeta and himself are pretty much on even playing field at this point. However, that aside, there is something they need to talk about. The same goes on with the others. Who tells his child, it's time. It's time for them to protect the Earth. Trunks asks what he means and what's going on. Vegeta states there's going to be a time when he won't be here. Kakarot is talking with Goten as well. But why would they protect the Earth? Their seniors are 1,000,000 times stronger. Which won't be the case if they start training harder and push each other to new limits. The previous generation has done almost all they can do for this world. Now it's their turn. So what does this mean? Are they supposed to become superheroes or something? Vegeta tells his son no. He's supposed to become a warrior, a true Saiyan. He got a taste of becoming legendary when becoming a Super Saiyan so effortlessly and at such a young age. Something that took himself half his life to achieve. But does he want that to be where he plateaus? Even though their craving for battle will never go away, they still need to know when it's time to step aside. The Earth has been peaceful for years, but that doesn't mean it'll be this way forever. Goten questions his dad if he keeps training. Could he achieve the same power as him? The power of gods? Who absolutely thinks he can, but he won't get there at this rate. For instance, can he ascend beyond Super Saiyan when he's not fused with Trunks? But his reaction is rather telling. A few hours pass. Goten and Trunks have met back up with each other in an open landscape to begin training. By now, they've had a moment to let this new reality settle. Trunks tells Goten their dads are right. They need to step in and become the new defenders of Earth. The latter notes Goku saved the world when he was only a kid. The two of them never got another chance to do much of anything after Buu. Keeping it simple, his opposite explains they need to become even stronger than their predecessors. Stronger than Super Saiyan gods. Ready, he warns his rival he won't be going easy on him anymore. Who's poised and confident to take on the challenge. Working as a narrative piece, the Mushroom Guy talks about how the boys have now begun their intense training, each giving it their all. Back in West City, one of Bulma's machines starts to ring out with alarm. She wonders why that particular device would be going off. Getting a closer look, we see the word security system and a diagram of Earth. Next to the planet, some sort of object appears to be approaching. She offers a sarcastic response while trying to figure out what it could be. A mysterious member of Beerus' race. But what could they possibly be doing on Earth? Letting out an imposing yawn, the narrator explains, this is Lada. She's not a god, but does have remarkable power. Glancing around, she takes in planet Earth, then wonders where could that relic be on this miserable planet, leaving us to wonder what this relic is she refers to and what value it possibly has. Meanwhile, Bulma does her best to zero in on the situation. Whatever it is, it probably isn't good. She then notices how close it is to Trunks and Goten, calling her son over the computer. He immediately stops training to answer. She elaborates how someone just showed up on Earth. She's not able to see anything aside from the life force itself, requesting he and Goten to go check it out and to be careful. Asking what that was about, Trunks informs his friend someone just showed up on Earth. Nearby, Lada doesn't believe the relic to be far from here. She can feel it. Approaching, Trunks inquires if Goten sees what he sees. From the distance, they mistake the invader for Lord Beerus. Amiss why he'd be all the way out here if he was coming to visit. And where's Whis? Lada notices him heading towards her. Her eyes make contact with theirs. She sees them as no threat at all. Looking up, she exclaims, "Oh, how wonderful! Some bugs to squash!" With a menacing stare of their own, our heroes ask who she is and why she's come to Earth. But she insults she doesn't talk to weaklings. Ready to show her who she's dealing with. He turns to Goten. But even as Super Saiyans, the boys continue to get manhandled. They decide to step things up a bit. Stopping the fusion dance. She wishes this had been a bit more fun, but she's had enough child's play. Charging one final attack to finish him off. A sword comes hurling towards her. Now furious, she demands to know who dares interrupt her, though she appears to recognize the intruder. Scoffing, "You again?" Tapion, what on earth could he be doing here? She snarls she won't let him interfere. Screeching, the relic is hers. Tapion manages to slash the attack to pieces, while she claims she shouldn't be surprised he's still using that old man's boring technique. He doesn't waste any time in healing Goten and Trunks, although his adversary grows tired of his so-called arrogance. He makes sure his allies are okay. Clearly, they didn't know who they were up against. Trunks claims they totally had her, while Goten mutters they're the defenders of Earth. Lada decides nobody here is worth her time, but if they happen to cross paths again, it'll be their end. With the invader flying off, Tapion warns they still have work to do if they are the new defenders of this planet. Words that don't sit with them lightly. He furthers that they take his advice. Be careful next time they encounter her. She is very dangerous. And just as mysteriously as he appeared, he takes off, presumably after Lada. It's then made clear in this iteration, Goten and Trunks have never met Tapion before, meaning the events of Wrath of the Dragon never happened. He hopes whoever those two are, they don't cause any more trouble. That's when Trunks has a realization. He suggests they train separately from now on. They've pretty much always had each other's back in battle. They've never had to learn to take care of themselves. That fighter was so strong they couldn't even do the fusion dance. And even if they had, he's not sure they could have beaten her. Goten himself figures if they go on their own journeys and become stronger, even if they ever did need each other, they would be unstoppable. Now that they're on the same page, they agree to separate to become the best they can. Though Trunks boasts Goten won't do as well as himself, but you know. Laughing it off, Goten asks what he plans to do first, but he's not sure. Though in fact, he plans to find that guy who helped him. As Goten approaches the city, he suddenly feels something, an incredible power. But whose could it be? It's familiar, but it's definitely changed. Looking down, he asks, "Yamcha, is that you?" Who happily greets him. What kind of training has Yamcha of all warriors been up to? And just how much more powerful has he become? Also, what is this relic both Lada and Tapion have come searching for? North of West City. After stumbling into a rather grizzled Yamcha, the former bandit cheerfully asks Goten what brings him out this way. And the truth is, believe it or not, he was actually on his way to request Master Roshi train him, just like he did with his dad back in the day. He figures if he wants to be one of the best protectors of Earth, he may as well start from the beginning. When he spots the Turtle Hermit's signature shell, he wonders what Yamcha could be doing with such an iconic item. He wistfully thinks back to all the training he himself had undergone with the old master. He reveals it was actually he himself who gave it to him, after, well, not failing to read between the lines. Goten curiously inquires what happened to Master Roshi. But it's a heck of a story, and given training is what he seeks, Yamcha agrees to tell him all about it, if he agrees to a little spar. He figures that since he and Trunks are off doing their own training, he does have a little extra time on his hands. Though does Yamcha really think he'll be able to keep up with them? He was one of the halves that took on Majin Buu a few years back. His smile only growing wider, he tells the young warrior to power up to his limit. Rolling his eyes, Goten agrees, but only on the condition Yamcha doesn't complain if he gets hurt. Dashing behind him before he can even finish a sentence, he snarkily reiterates for his foe to power up. Saiyan doesn't hesitate and lets loose a spike of energy to speed away, prompting him to question in bewilderment when he got so fast. Retrieving a badge from his gi, Yamcha chuckles that after helping out the Galactic Patrol to take out Moro's goons, he decided to stay on the force as a patrolman. He's been busting his tail taking down intergalactic baddies with Jocko. There are a lot of pretty tough guys out in space, so it was the perfect head start to get him back on his toes. And here Goten was this entire time thinking he was just slacking off.
Can't even think straight. Damn it! Wolfang Fist!
Pulling his attack at the last moment, Yamcha spares Goten the finishing blow as he falls back to his base form. He exclaims how crazy strong he's gotten. This is unbelievable. Everyone's going to be so impressed when they find out. Who has to give all the credit to Master Roshi. Without him, none of this would be possible, in more ways than one. Bringing us back to exactly why he has that turtle shell. A few years back, after Moro's assault on the Earth, Yamcha realized that he needed to catch up to the others, in case Goku or Vegeta weren't around for one reason or another. While he still had quite a way to go to even catch up to Krillin or Tien, he knew he had to get started somewhere. So he went back to the Hermit for training after hearing how well he performed in the Tournament of Power. Not only that, but already being familiar with his style, it would likely be an easier fit to get back into the groove of things. Upon first arriving on the island, he and Jocko were chilling, more or less. Then after a few days of classic Roshi training, he sent him on a mission to acquire some mystical thing called a Cayenne Crystal. He didn't explain what it was or what it could do. Yamcha assumed it could be something like Korin's sacred water, where the real prize was a strength gained along the way. Or at least until the real sacred water via the Ultra Divine Water was revealed. But a Cayenne Crystal? Goten's never heard of this before. Given it seems a bunch of the secrets of this world are long gone, was it even on Earth? Unfortunately, it wasn't. It was located on a planet called Doro. Funny enough, Jocko knew exactly where this world was. And with the ship, it didn't take long at all to get there. On their way, just as they began orbiting the planet trying to figure out the right stop to touch down, Jocko wasn't paying attention and a comet crashed into him. They didn't know it yet, but this would turn out to be a huge mistake on their part, even worse than it already sounds. They crash-landed and were immediately met by some of the native inhabitants. They were mouse-like creatures about the size of Chaozu. Long story short, they had a tower similar to Korin's, only theirs went underground instead of into the sky. Naturally, the question was raised how the Wolfang fighter was able to get inside. As tough as he's heard climbing the tower on Earth was for everyone, even as simple as it may seem now, he can't imagine doing the exact opposite with tons of dirt in the way. Alas, he did the only thing he could do. He started to dig. Lots and lots of digging. But the hole kept falling in on itself. No matter how much rocks or dirt or everything in between he was able to move out of his way, all of his progress kept getting erased. After trying a few different methods, he used his Wolfang Fist and was finally able to get inside the lookout. And then he met someone who looked an awful lot like Mr. Popo. He challenged Yamcha to test if he was worthy of meeting the planet's guardian. Of course, he was able to beat him. But upon doing so, somehow an evil being named Sime or something came out of nowhere. When, believe it or not, the planet's guardian himself actually showed up. He looked a lot different than Dende though. He wasn't a Namekian at all, but some kind of fish creature. His name was Mignon, and he explained that when Jocko and him crashed into that comet, Sasami was released. Long ago, this evil guy was after the crystal, but they were able to freeze him within a personal prison and launch it into orbit. Small world, huh? To repay them for this mistake, Yamcha made a promise that he himself would destroy Sasami or whoever, leaving Goten to wonder if he's able to follow through and get the crystal for himself. And the truth is, after his last battle, this guy really pushed him to his limits. He used almost all of his energy, and to be fair, the villain almost got the best of him. But he underestimated Yamcha. And in the end, his own arrogance did him in. He blasted him with everything he had left and annihilated him. So then he went back to Earth to give the crystal to Master Roshi, right? Which is right. He went back to Earth, a little reluctant to continue his story. Goten eggs him on. What happened when he got back? After returning to Earth, he immediately went back to Kame House. There, Roshi was waiting for him. He said something about having lived a long time, and it was time for him to move on. He was tired. He had done everything he could for the people he cares about. And it was Yamcha's turn to lead the Turtle School. They both placed their hands on the crystal. Master Roshi then started to glow and his whole body was vibrating. He felt his ki rushing around him. Then it began swirling and circling around him. As he took a step back, the crystal vaporized right before his eyes. The old master told the one-time bandit he has faith in him, before his body slowly turned to dust, mere speckles of energy. A gust of wind swept through the entire island, clearing the fog that had gathered during this ritual. It was at that moment, Master Roshi's ki disappeared, as if it were spread far across the earth. Perhaps this was the only way Roshi could truly return to the earth after drinking from the Fountain of Youth. With his most iconic possessions placed aside his home, Yamcha thanked his master for everything, promising to make him proud. Their school will not fade away. He felt his ki vanish. His entire body vaporized. He tells Goten, Master Roshi is gone. And everything, his entire legacy, somehow rests on his own shoulders now. Causing Goten to shout that it must be Yamcha who trains him instead. Teach him the ways of the Turtle School. He promises not to let him down. This declaration warms Yamcha's heart, thinking back to the select students of the school he has known in his lifetime. And if that's what Goten wants, he's ready to do this. Having a moment of his father's innocence, the new student questions if he needs to give particular magazines to Yamcha in return. Causing the new teacher to balk why he'd need to do that, which is simply what he heard Master Roshi would always ask for. And while he's not wrong, Yamcha seems to think maybe it's okay for a couple little things about the Turtle School to be retired. With Yamcha taking up the helm as the new Turtle Master, what will his own unique style and recent power boost bring to the table to help improve our young hero? Also, does Master Roshi still live on another world, or is he truly gone forever?